spec call, I blow from my gut like a snow goose call. My hands are muffled at the bottom. Speckled belly call, when you blow a speckled belly call, it's important that you regulate the air coming out.
Okay,
versus a snow goose call, I'm doing a megaphone. Yeah, I'm going to use 2 fingers. I'm going to use my index finger and my middle finger. Okay. And what I teach people when I'm teaching them how to blow a speckled belly call is to get that first note down first. That's important.
The first
note before you go high and low.
Okay. First, what's that first note sound like?
Well, the first note, speckled belly is going to be your high low. The first note.
Okay, so that note's flipping over.
Yeah, and I tell people to practice that. You want to get the first note down before you get the second note down, because when you try to go high and low, sometimes it's a lot of practice. See, I went high and then I went low. It's like a wave.
All right.
But I just say, learn that first note first before you drop down to the second one.
Turning the call around backwards, as we've done. How do you make that happen?
2 fingers right here, and I'm blowing from my gut. Huff, 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 huff.
Okay, and then. Okay. Now I teach a little bit differently.
Okay.
Okay. And this is great because folks are getting
two versions,
distinctly different approaches. I tell folks, take the call, just blow air through it. Okay. Take this hand, and as you're blowing air through it, close this hand. So there's going to be a point where it goes from just. When you find that point where it flips over,
okay,
that's kind of the first note that you're doing,
yeah,
right? So I'm trying to get them to get the memory of where the the air regulation, or the back pressure, as some people call it, will give that flipped over note.
Okay.
That first note, as you were calling it.
That makes sense.
Okay. And then, additionally, the one little difference is, again, I use my tongue. So if I turn the call around backwards, so it's instead of.
Yeah.
Okay. But same result.
And it might be, Sean's method might be easier to teach than mine. Mine's, from the stomach, and yours is with the tongue, so you can hear it a lot better when you blow through your call backwards.
And the reason I really like this approach is some people are going to get it your way, some will get it my way.
Sure.
Okay. So you've gotten the first note. Take us from there.
Well, I'll do the first note a couple of times, and then I'll string it along. So on my wave, I'll go high, low, then I'll go high, low, 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 high, low, low, low.
Okay, let's hear that.
And that's tricky to do. That's why it's so important to learn that first note, and then you can build from there. So I just drug that that second note. I just drug it on and on and on.
So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Okay, gotcha.
And that is the that's the heart of your spec call right there.
Right, it is.
Yeah,
it is.
How do you do it?
Well, same result, different starting point. I'm just the only difference really is using the tongue.
Okay.
And I don't do the 5 series. I'll start geese with.
That sounds good.
It's just how I
sometimes
learned, I learned on the birds.
I'll hear young speckled bellies do that a lot.
That little peck thing.
Exactly.
And the funny thing about it is I'm starting with those birds in Canada.
Yeah.
And my first experience with a speck was in Canada.
Okay.
Okay. Your first experience with a speck is in Texas, although now you're hunting them in Canada as well with your guide service.
Exactly.
So you bring your experience from growing up in Texas to the field, and I'm just bringing what I learned from those birds, and I hear that young bird that kind of it almost sounds like a rooster to me.
Yeah, and I've heard them do that a lot of times. Yeah. I've got a call similar to that, which is basically like I think it's like a juvenile speckled belly, and it's a high and a low, but the high is real long like you do.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool. How do you do that?
Kind of a different, I just stretch it out. I just stretch on my wave, I just stretch the high part out, for a couple seconds, and I drop down into my low.
Okay.
But, I'm blowing the polycarb and you're blowing the acrylic, and they've got 2 distinct sounds to them.
Kind of the acrylic's a little pingier.
Yep.
A little pingier, kind of call a little sharper, I guess you'd say.
Yep, it is clear.
And I blow them both. I take them both to the field, and it's that lure in the tackle box approach. Some days they want to bite this, some days they want to bite that.
Yeah.
So I'll
And your calls are shinier than mine, so.
Well, these are right at, I brought these with me just for this occasion, but what I use in the field's pretty pretty dull.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's your juvie sound. Start off a flock of specks for me and get them to shooting range, if you would.
Same principle as the snow geese. I'm going to try to pick a bird out, but I'd like to get those specklebellies excited. It seems like when specks are on the ground, they're excited. I'll make a little more noise and kind of elaborate, on the noise I'm making. And it seems like sometimes the more noise you make, you're starting to get those specklebellies coming in and maybe get a little maple leaf in. And so I'm a little noisier with my speck call. If I'm working a flock, just making a lot of noise and just, stringing those notes along and getting those specks excited.
You bet. Now, was there ground talk in that, or do you do some other ground talk?
Yeah.
In other words, sounds of the birds on the ground?
Yeah, back home we call it buzzing,
Okay.
When you get by a bunch of specklebellies, they're buzzing like bees, and they kind of... and
just see what they do.
Yep.
It's 50-50 deal. Sometimes they go ballistic, sometimes they stay quiet. And then I'll use that little chirp. And just see what they do. If they don't answer me after a single, lee,
okay,
some chirps and another, I'll go to the Canada call. Then they're in or out. Okay, but so that's my starting point. And then I like to call specks in almost a Marco Polo sort of thing. That game in the swimming pool that kids play. So. Almost just kind of the mockingbird approach.
Okay.
So, if I hear a speck or single bird or multiple birds, if I hear the single note, I'm going to answer it as close to that pitch as I can. If I hear, I'll go. So I'm going to try to do the mimicry approach with those birds. There are times when I'll go a little bit crazy, like if I see migrating birds, that are way up, I'll do, a lot more multiples and, and I'll do those little squeak outs and things. I hear a lot of what I think are juvenile birds doing that sort of thing. So I'll just kind of run up and down scales.
Something to get their attention when the birds are high.
Right, and to see if I can make something happen. Like we say, flipping cards until... the aces dropped and then things start to go in your favor. So, I'll try all those different crazy things. But initially, my initial approach is always a conservative approach. It's just the way I started hunting. And when I don't get their attention, I'll start to do anything crazy, throw everything. If there's a kitchen sink, I'll throw that at them too.
Okay.
Just to try to get a reaction.
Okay. Now, when you started this scenario off, you don't know if they're Canadas or specks and they're coming in quiet. If you're blowing your specklebelly call and they're coming, and they're coming all the way, and you see they're Canadas and they're still committed, are you going to stay on your specklebelly call?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, I do the same thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
They'll make me look like a hero sometimes.
Oh, absolutely. In fact, I'll use my spec call for a lot of different things.
Yeah.
For Ross geese, sometimes for ducks.
Exactly.
That type.
Yeah, and
of thing.
that's a point to touch on the on your specklebelly call as well, as you can transition into a snow goose with the same call without skipping a beat. And that's one of the things
it's
I
just
like.
A little higher in
yeah,
pitch.
Sometimes on those great mornings when you got mallards and specks and snow geese on top of you, you can go from a specklebelly straight to a snow geese and back and forth.
Show me how you do that. That's right.
Yeah.
You just keep it open and you're putting a
keep
little
it
voice
open,
in
yeah.
it.
And I'm trying to just toning that snow goose call down a little bit because it's higher pitched. But you can call a snow goose, all day long with this call.
Well, while we're talking about tricks,